I hate this part. Valara grinned, completely unaffected. You used to love this part, too. Darius opened one eye. Did past me have any self-preservation instincts? Debatable. With a final shudder, the ship stabilized, settling into the eerie calm of FTL travel. The streaks outside became a smooth tunnel of blue and white, stretching infinitely ahead of them. Darius let out a breath. Okay, south. Now that we're not being shot at, maybe you can explain a few things. Valara leaned back in her seat, her crimson eyes glowing faintly in the dim cockpit lights. What do you want to know? Darius gestured broadly. Let's start with the obvious. Who exactly is Lord Zyros? Why does he want me? And why do I apparently have the memory retention of a defective toaster? Valara studied him for a moment, then let out a slow breath. Lord Zyros is a warlord, a powerful one. He rules the Outlands, the lawless fringe of the galaxy. He's a master of bioengineering, cybernetics, and... She hesitated. Mind manipulation. Darius frowned. Mind manipulation? She nodded. Zyros doesn't just conquer planets. He rewrites people. Wipes memories, implants false ones, erases entire histories. He doesn't just control territory. He controls minds. Darius swallowed. And let me guess, he did this to me? Valara's gaze softened. Yes. He let out a slow breath, trying to process that. All right. Let's say I believe you. Why? Why would some galactic warlord care about me? Valara hesitated again. Because you weren't just some pilot, Darius. You were a revolutionary. You and we were leading a resistance against him. Darius blinked. Come again? You were one of the best pilots in the galaxy, Valara continued, her voice steady but tinged with something that sounded almost like longing. You helped build the rebellion. We fought together for years. We were unstoppable. Darius snorted. Yeah, well, past me sounds like a reckless idiot. Valara's lips twitched. You were. But you were my reckless idiot. Darius coughed, feeling unexpectedly warm under her gaze. Okay, well, still processing the whole freedom fighter thing. But let's focus on the part where my entire memory got turned into space dust. How did Zyros do that? Valara's expression darkened. He captured you, tortured you, and then, she exhaled. He wiped you, completely, erased everything we were, everything you were. Darius's stomach twisted. Valara leaned forward, eyes burning with quiet intensity. I searched for you for years, Darius. Years. I thought you were dead. And then a month ago, I found traces of you, alive, but living on Mars Colony Delta 4 under a fake identity. Darius hesitated. So what, you just showed up to drag me back into this mess? I showed up to save you, she corrected, because Zyros isn't done with you. Darius let out a humorless laugh. Great. Just what I needed. More problems. She smirked. You always did attract trouble. He exhaled, leaning back in his chair. All right. Let's say I believe all of this. And let's say I was some kind of rebel hero. Why not just leave me? Why risk your life coming after someone who doesn't even remember you? Valara's expression softened. Because you're not just some rebel hero. You're my husband. Darius felt something tighten in his chest. He held her gaze for a long moment, then sighed. You really expect me to believe that? Valara reached into her pocket and pulled out a small silver ring. She held it up between two fingers. This was yours. Darius frowned. Valara pressed a small button on the side of the ring, and suddenly a tiny hologram flickered to life. It was a video. Him and her. They were standing on a lush green planet, one Darius definitely didn't recognize. He looked different in the video, stronger, more confident, and happy. In the hologram, Valara leaned in, pressing a kiss to his cheek. I love you, you idiot, she murmured. Hollow Darius laughed, wrapping an arm around her. Yeah, you just like me for my good looks. Valara smirked. Well, that is a bonus. The hologram flickered out. Darius swallowed. He could feel his heart pounding, his brain screaming at him that this was insane. But deep down, buried beneath the confusion and sarcasm and sheer what-the-hellness of this situation, something inside him ached. Valara watched him carefully. I know this is a lot, she said softly, but I promise you, Darius, I will help you remember, no matter how long it takes. Darius exhaled slowly. Then after a long pause, he nodded. All right, he muttered. Guess I'm in. Valara smiled, and against all odds, something about that smile made Darius feel like maybe, just maybe, he had made the right choice. The first thing Darius learned about space travel with an alien vampire woman who claimed to be his wife was that she snored. Not a delicate, dignified snore. Number A, full-bodied, rumbling, borderline industrial snore. The kind of sound that made you question whether the ship had an engine problem. He had tried to ignore it, rolling onto his side in the tiny bunk he had claimed, but sleep was impossible. Between the adrenaline crash, the whole I was apparently a rebel hero, and also married revelation, and the very real possibility that a space warlord was hunting him down, rest seemed like a luxury his brain had no interest in granting him. Groaning, he sat up and rubbed his face. This is my life now, he muttered, running from bounty hunters with a woman who can probably rip my spine out and uses my ship as a snore amplifier. Valara, sprawled across the bunk opposite him, did not respond. Darius sighed and stood, deciding he might as well get a better look at the ship. If he was going to be stuck on it, he should at least know if it had anything useful. Maybe a coffee maker. Maybe a self-destruct button, if things got really bad. The ship was small but sleek, clearly military grade, despite the fact that Valara had somehow stolen it. The cockpit was compact but well-equipped, with advanced scanning arrays and weapon systems that he definitely didn't know how to use. The cargo bay held an assortment of crates, some with labels he recognized, some written in languages that probably required extra throat muscles to pronounce. But it was the engine room that made his eyebrows shoot up. Whoa, he muttered, stepping inside. The ship's core wasn't standard at all. Instead of the usual fusion-based drive, it had something far more advanced. A gravitic compression core, the kind usually reserved for top-tier warships. This thing shouldn't even exist on a ship this size, he whispered. It was powerful. Too powerful. And dangerous. If this thing went critical, they wouldn't just explode. They'd disappear in a flash of compressed space-time, like a very unfortunate science experiment. Enjoying the view? Darius jumped, spinning around to see Valara leaning against the doorway, arms crossed, ears twitching slightly. He scowled. Can you not sneak up on me? She smirked. You used to have better reflexes. Well, I used to have memories too, but here we are. Valara rolled her eyes and stepped into the room. You always loved this part of the ship, spent hours tweaking the engines, trying to make it go faster. Even when I told you it was already illegally fast. Darius narrowed his eyes. Wait, this was our ship? She nodded. He looked around again. Why does it feel like you stole it then? Because I did, she said, smiling sweetly. Darius rubbed his temples. I don't even want to know. Valara stepped up beside him, glancing at the core. We should be careful with this thing. It's unpredictable, especially with the modifications you made. Darius blinked. I modified this? Oh, extensively. That feels like something I should remember. Valara studied him for a moment. It'll come back, she said softly. Darius wasn't so sure. Before he could respond, the ship's warning klaxons blared. Valara's expression hardened instantly. She turned and sprinted toward the cockpit, Darius right behind her. As they slid into their seats, the screens flared to life, displaying a proximity alert. Darius frowned. What is that? Valara's fingers danced over the controls, pulling up a visual feed. A ship, large, bulky, and bristling with weaponry, was emerging from FTL directly in their path. Darius let out a slow breath. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that's not a friendly. Valara's jaw tightened. That's a Zarosian warcruiser. Darius stared at her. How do they keep finding us? She exhaled sharply. Because Zyros has technology that shouldn't exist. He can track things even through FTL. Oh, fantastic. The comm system crackled to life. A deep mechanical voice spoke. Unidentified vessel. Power down and prepare for boarding. You are in violation of Lord Zyros's domain. Darius glanced at Valara. Well, that sounds unpleasant. Valara's eyes darkened. We can't let them board. Darius sighed. All right, options? She glanced at him. We could fight. He pointed at the war cruiser, which was many times their size. I don't love our odds, she considered. Or we could do something very, very stupid. Darius groaned. Why is it always the stupid option? Valara grinned and slammed the throttle forward. The ship lurched, rocketing toward the war cruiser at full speed. Darius flailed. What are you doing? Trust me. I barely know you. The war cruiser's weapons powered up, targeting systems locking onto them. Darius braced for impact, but at the last possible second, Valara yanked the controls down, sending them into a gut-wrenching spin beneath the enemy ship's hull. Darius yelped as the artificial gravity struggled to keep up. I'm gonna die! Valara, completely calm, angled the ship toward a ventral docking port. Then with a smirk, she hit a button. The ship suddenly vanished. Darius blinked. What just? Cloaking field, Valara said smugly. Old smuggler trick. Darius slumped in his seat. I hate this. I hate everything about this. She patted his shoulder. You'll get used to it again. The war cruiser, unable to detect them, drifted forward, scanning empty space. Valara eased the ship away, her expression triumphant. And that is how you lose a Zyrosian warship. Darius let out a breath. Okay, that was almost impressive. Valara winked. Oh, I'm always impressive. Darius groaned, rubbing his temples. Please tell me you at least have coffee on this ship. Valara hesitated. Darius frowned. You do have coffee, right? Valara cleared her throat. You define coffee. Darius stared at her. Oh my God, Valara smirked. Welcome back to the rebellion, love. Darius had survived a lot of things in the last 24 hours. Being thrown out of a window, dodging bounty hunters, and narrowly escaping a war cruiser piloted by people who apparently hated him. But now he was facing what might be the greatest challenge of all, Valara's cooking. He eyed the steaming, bluish-gray mush in his bowl. It smelled like something. He just wasn't sure if it was food or an industrial lubricant. Valara sat across from him, eating with zero hesitation. You gonna stare at it all day, or are you gonna eat? Darius prodded the substance with his fork. It jiggled. It moved. She rolled her eyes. It's protein paste. You used to love it. Darius arched a brow. See, I'm getting the distinct impression that past me was either a liar or had significantly lower standards for food. Valara smirked. Both things can be true. Darius exhaled dramatically, then took a tentative bite, and immediately regretted it. It wasn't just bad. It was offensive. The taste hit his tongue like it was trying to mug him. It was bitter, somehow also sour, and carried the unmistakable aftertaste of regret. He gagged. Oh no, nope, 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 nope. Valara laughed. Oh, come on, it's not that bad. Darius reached for his water like a man desperately trying to save his own life. It tastes like a tire fire in my mouth. Valara shrugged, taking another bite. You're being dramatic. I'm being accurate, she smirked. You always whined about food. Once during a supply run, you refused to eat anything that wasn't labeled in Standard Galactic. Darius leaned back. Well, excuse me for not wanting to accidentally eat an alien parasite. She grinned. Good news, this isn't a parasite. Darius gestured at the bowl. That's not good news. Valara laughed again, shaking her head. Fine. Next time we land somewhere, I'll get you something properly disgusting. Darius sighed in relief. A burger. I just want a burger. Valara smirked. Fine, but first we need to deal with your whole being hunted by a galactic warlord problem. Darius groaned. Oh, that minor inconvenience. Valara leaned forward, her tone growing more serious. We need to get you to a memory specialist. Darius frowned. A what? There's a woman, Valara explained. Dr. Leora Vesca. She's one of the best neurospecialists in the galaxy. If anyone can help recover what Zyros erased, it's her. Darius hesitated. And where is she? Valara exhaled. Vox's Prime. Darius blinked, then blinked again. Vox's Prime? The Vox's Prime? Valara nodded. Oh, sure, Darius said, throwing his hands up. Great idea. Let's go straight to the most corrupt, crime-infested hellhole in the entire galaxy. What could possibly go wrong? Valara smirked. You used to love Voxus. Darius let out an exasperated groan. Past me really needs to stop setting expectations I can't live up to. Valara chuckled. Relax. I have a contact there. Someone who can get us in without drawing attention. Darius sighed. I feel like I should argue, but I really want to know what's in my brain. Valara patted his shoulder. That's the spirit, he muttered under his breath. More like the spirit of terrible decisions.